Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to Anfield Index Pro Plus. I'm back after a while. Actually, I thought I should make an appearance because there's so much to talk about. There's some big news today after the amazing win yesterday. I think FSG must have decided that's it. They want to call it quits. Beating Spurs was the pinnacle of the. Well, it was once in 2019 in Madrid, and on the day that maybe it was drawing Madrid. They just thought, fuck that. We don't want to be here anymore. But anyway, to talk to me about the news that's come out today about FSG, we have my beloved Bargy. Bargy, how are you doing?
I'm okay. I apologise profusely for any beeping or car noises that people hear. I'm doing the time-honoured tradition of every parent, which is the school run.
That's okay. You sound great in your car because it's
Thank you.
£4,000 headlight car. A story for another day. Maybe in a car pod we do in the future this season if we get anywhere good. But also joined by my friend, Mr. Justin Wells. Justin, how are you doing? Long time since we podded.
It has been. And how am I doing? I think that everybody's white knuckle feeling at about the 77th minute of yesterday's match is now a very distant memory.
To be honest, mate, yesterday's match, I stopped being nervous for games because you kind of just accept your fate, right, in some games. But yesterday, my heart rate was so high waiting for full time. It was like, fucking just get this over the line. For God's sake, Liverpool, do not concede another goal. Because literally, that I really felt yesterday, the third goal in the game was the pivotal one. As in, like, literally, we could collapse and Spurs could beat us if we conceded. But the great thing was, we held on. It wasn't pretty to watch, but if you want to get top four, that's the type of result you need to get. That's the type of grit you need to show. So, but there's been plenty of pods talking about Spurs and Liverpool. We're here to talk about FSG putting the club up for sale. Now, just, there was this big story from David Ornstein earlier on, and then obviously the statement from FSG came out, which read like they weren't really, looking to sell, but it was a partial. Then there was just something out from the Boston Globe, is it? Is that the right?
Yeah, the Boston Globe, which
they own.
John Henry owns. John Henry owns the Boston Globe.
Yeah, so the Boston Globe have come out and pretty much said they're looking for a full sale. So when the paper that the club owns is saying that, I think we pretty much know where we're going. So I think I'd like some initial reactions first and foremost. And Bargy, since I introduced you first, and you're the elder of the trio.
Cool. So this is So as I said to everyone beforehand, this is my own opinion. So this has got nothing to do with me and a supporters board member or anything like that. This is just all me. Now, the fact they engaged Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley is interesting. The fact that they engaged Goldman Sachs first and foremost. Goldmans don't do bad bets. They genuinely don't. Like, there's sometimes some of their deals go a bit sour, but genuinely, you know what, they're savvy people. And the folks involved at this level will look for surefire hits. So this isn't something that's happened just today. I think we're all intelligent enough of the world to know that, right? This is not something that started today or started at the weekend or because of Spurs or because of how the season started. This would be brewing for some time. So they would have gone with non-disclosure agreements to some degree out there, looking for, I suppose responses of interest more than anything else. Like saying, look, this is the proposal of what people are looking for. As what Liverpool's looking for or FSG are looking for. And going to who they believe would be interested parties. So that's a bit different, right? That they would have already gone to like a short list of people saying, "Are you interested?" You know, not that. Don't think of this kind of sale thing like as how Chelsea happened. Chelsea was a sanctioned sale where bids were invited, similar to how we were sold. You know, like when we were in RBS's
sale, yeah, like us, for sale, pure force.
Yeah, for sale, it was respond to bid. Yeah, it was it's an invitation to bid. This isn't an invitation to bid. This has been requested parties to say, hey, you know what? We know you had this kind of interest previously. What do you think now? And some people must have bitten, like, and not a little bit of a bite, like a serious bite of that cherry, and gone, yeah, you know what? Here you go. We're ready. What have you got then? And hence it's come out now.
Yeah, the dollar against the pound really helps a lot, right?
So that's kind of come out, right? So like I said, I don't think this is a new process. I think this is something that's been going in the background of sorts. Now, the killer in all this is if it is just the partial piece, how partial? Now, I put in Discord already, and I think these are rules and regulations that are sent on by somebody else. So I haven't had a chance to corroborate this. But if your percentage ownership is under 30%, so let's say you sell a 29% stake or a 29.99% stake. Yeah.
Are you that person who has everything? The coolest merch and those must-have fan threads? Well, over at our Anfield Index shop, we've gone that extra mile when it comes to pimping up your Liverpool collection. From our popular range of bespoke design t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies and hats, to our signature edition mugs, prints and coasters, all provided with fast worldwide shipping. We have something for every red. We also stock official LFC merchandise and are licensed with the Premier League and UEFA to sell official iron-on shirt badges and sleeve patches. As a listener to this podcast, you can get 10% off everything with coupon code AIPRO10. Just head over to AnfieldIndex.shop or find us on Etsy by searching for Anfield Index.
The whole fair play, fit and proper test goes out. Fit and proper. Yeah, because the FA is so fucking great at fit and proper. They're so great at fit and proper. You know, whether they're a fit and proper organisation is yet to be decided.
I think someone needs to decide whether they're fit and proper, to be honest.
Yeah, completely. Just like FIFA, just like UEFA. You know, are you truly fit and proper yourselves before you go and deduce whether somebody else is? The fit and proper test doesn't apply. Under 30% doesn't apply. So that's where the murkiness of ownership becomes a bit of a battleground almost for me. Yeah, this is my personal feeling. Like, I don't want Liverpool associated with the folks that don't put diversity and inclusion at the centerpiece of who they're about. I've seen enough battles with clubs and fan bases over the time, and also as someone who stands out like a sore thumb in most crowds, right? I genuinely do. I'm not maligned against at Liverpool.
Absolutely, we're going to get to that bit, and that's really an important aspect. But I want to get Justin's reaction before we get to that, in terms of if he's shocked or not. But before you do, Justin, I want to read something that kind of resonated with me, or at least I kind of very much agreed with it. Matt Ladson, co-owner of TIA. This is Anfield website, superb if you don't read it already. But his tweet earlier, I did share it in Discord as well. A lot of reasons for FSG to put the club up for sale. Realization it's impossible to compete versus oil nations. FFP not being properly enforced. Anfield 60k capacity now achieved will be opening up next season. And world financial crash potentially on the horizon. So just in all those reasons, all very sound reasons for me. Your thoughts on FSG, doing this? It looks like it's happening.
Yeah, so I have to first give a similar disclaimer to Harinder. Anything I say is my own opinion and doesn't represent either the thoughts of the representative group of the official Liverpool Supporters Club or our one seat on the OLSC board. But I think that the point that Matt Ladson's pointing out there are the reasons that you basically would try to think about selling this asset. Like, first off, it's the dollar to pound ratio actually makes it attractive to American buyers, which if you're sounding out Goldman Sachs, what you're not only doing is using someone who has deep experience in the mergers and acquisition space, but you're also probably using their client book as well to see who might consistently bite at that apple, right? You're going to probably find that the types of people who'd be interested would be U.S. private equity consortiums and private equity funds. You'd also probably see that, there could be a sovereign wealth fund that might want to purchase us. Whether or not they'd be able to, for a variety of reasons, is a completely separate question. The timing is probably always just going to be the timing, right? When is the best time to sell something? When you don't think you can either take the asset any further, or when you think that you've hit peak value. Both of those things are probably true for FSG at the moment.
I think peak value wise, they've done the best they can last season as well, almost winning everything. I think they've probably the realization part though with the cities and the Newcastle. I think probably looking at how Newcastle are doing as well this season, really well, probably taking another spot in that top four, at least becoming another contender. It goes from top 6 to top 7 now. I remember when it used to be a top 3, became a top 4, then a top 5, then a top 6. Now it's a top 7, probably. Do you get what I mean? That makes it murkier. The waters are murkier for the future of the club in terms of we probably won't be able to take the club where it needs to be, if that makes sense. Somebody else needs to come in and probably try their best at doing that. But I think, some of the reasons of potential buyers and things like that, that's an interesting topic. And I think that's been taking over the Discord server today in terms of who would you sell to then? And is there such a thing as a perfect owner? I mean, I don't think the perfect owner actually exists. I do agree with some people saying that, whoever you end up going for, there's going to be something under that manja, as Baji, as we would say, sorte thalle manja sorry, manja thalle sorta maro. Like, basically, you look underneath your own bed, you're going to find some cobwebs there. Something's going to be hiding, lurking. So, I mean, what are your views on the next step of this, and how does this, how does Liverpool go about this? It's not an easy process. Not an easy process. Baji.
I mean, from my perspective, the banks are vampire squids. Like Goldman Sachs is a vampire squid that will suck onto anything, right? And it's extremely good at what it does. I worked for them for 2 and a bit years, formative years of life. I know exactly what they're about. I know exactly how they operate, and they are the masters of operation. They know what they do, and they know they can do it well. If you ever wanted to use a bank to get you something and you had the money to do it, that's the place you'd go to. Genuinely, you would. Yeah, you'd go for one of the best in the world. They are probably the best in the world.
And we know that we work with them as well. So,
but yeah, the Liverpool Football Club has worked with them, right? So in certain transactions, so we know what they're about. Now, in regards to what type of owner, let's go with what type of owner we don't want. Now, I talked about diversity and inclusion. That's important to the club as well. It really is. And
every family fortune starts with a crime. Wow.
Not necessarily, but yeah, okay, mate. I don't know. I can't talk too much in regards to other people's families, but like some families that I know, sometimes you do get lucky and you do work hard. Shit works your way. It happens, but it's a rarity, right? It is. Yeah, not everything can be Microsoft built in a garage or Apple before it's what it was. Yeah. Those kind of pipe dreams don't really exist, but the people and how they've been afterwards are completely different to what it was as to how they started out. That happens, for sure. Now, in regards to what kind of owner we don't want, similar to what I was saying earlier, that diversity and inclusion is important. If you think LGBTQ rights or human rights are secondary, fuck off. This is not the place for you. This is not the club for you. The club has pushed and propagated too much to tear up that goodwill. And they've been pioneers in
anyone in Anfield Index could say that. I think we need to. definitely.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I'm just going to say this is my opinion. Like, if you think that a Saudi ownership would be great, just because they've got money, yeah. I don't know what club you support. I don't know what ethical, moral compass you apply here, or you ditch the compass, is what you're saying, because it's football and you just want to win, and the banter is all great, and you want to win, and you want to win, and you want to be the best. Yeah, everyone wants to be the best. This ideology of presuming that just because you don't want an ownership like that means you don't want the best couldn't be further from the truth. Yeah, it's more so that because we want to be the best, we want to be the best at everything. Also off the field, in regards to how we operate and how our moral compass looks. Sometimes Liverpool do stupid things, such as this, in my opinion, the Super League. It's a stupid thing to do on the way that they were trying to go around it. Now, that's not something that's designed to go and discriminate against somebody just because of the choice of the way they live their life. Just because they believe something, or their sexuality is different to the next person, and someone finds that abhorrent. If you find it abhorrent, maybe go and take a look at your own fucking moral compass, dipstick. Why do you find it abhorrent? Why do you find having a level playing field for people in general in the world and accepting people for who they are being a problem? If there were an abhorrence, I'd get it in regards to fascism, in regards to racism, in regards to bestiality, in regards to cannibalism, in regards to pedophilia, in regards to so many disgusting walks of life. But just because someone's different, and a man likes a man or a woman likes a woman, you just can't seem to handle that. Or because they're a different color or creed to you, and you think they're secondary. No. Yeah, so that's the owner that we don't want. Now, the perfect owner, you're right. You know what? Everyone's correct. It doesn't exist.
No.
Yeah, like the whole, some people said, like Jeff Bezos, and we'll get Elon Musk or Bill Gates or this guy. I'm like, oh, come on, right, guys? They're not perfect owners. Yeah, nobody's in that sense. But genuinely, let's track backwards. What are they like on quality, on diversity? How accepting are they of difference? And most importantly, when it comes to the club, how will they take the club forward?
Something that FSG will do that, right?
FSG, for things that they did wrong, they got quite a lot right, especially when they messed up. Now, today could be considered a mess up of sorts, because there's lots of people who haven't been consulted about this. There's lots of things that are going on in the background, which I am not privy to speak about, that leave a bit of a sour taste from what I've heard. Now, how that changes going forward or in the next coming days or weeks is a TBC across the board. But either which way, having an ownership which is open for fan dialogue is a good start. A really good start. So that's one of the things that you need in your perfect ownership model, is that fan engagement. The ability to be able to respond back to the club and stop certain things from happening. Great example, ticket prices. We saw with the people power back in 2016 what that can be like, right? We've all been there. So those will be good starting points for me. And also the capability to have that long-term investment strategy in the club so that it's not laden with debt, or it's not feeling a burden come the end of it. The one thing we say about FSG's tenure, if they go away tomorrow, are we screwed financially? We're not. Yeah, they've been prudential, get it, they've been risk averse, get it. That's been to some people's liking, some people hate it, but the Marmite that it may be, we're not screwed financially, right? We're not. They'll make a tidy sum out of the sale. If they sell the whole thing, kit and caboodle, they're not going to be, they're not exactly poor now, right? But you know what? They are generationally rich for the rest of their lives. They'll be generationally richer. Yeah. But well done, FSG. That's their business model. They succeeded. They made, over the last 10, 15 years or so, they make the money that they wanted to make. Great. Off they go into something else. But we don't want to be in a position whereby we have a new ownership that comes in that looks all great on day one, but by the time you get to day 100 or day 1000, it's so far away from that. So that's the kind of, I suppose, prudence that we've got to apply here.
Yeah. Justin, and I think Harinder's apologies put everything perfectly there in terms of the type of owner. I think a load of those things resonate, well, everything there resonates with you as well, doesn't it? And I think that perfect owner discussion, I mean, how would you describe in your way then the perfect owner?
Well, the perfect owner for Liverpool Football Club is a socialist billionaire, so that's something that doesn't exist. I mean, I could tell. Yeah, I can tell you what the perfect owner. I can tell you what the perfect owner isn't, and part of it goes into what Padre was talking about, which is, the entire premise of the diversity and inclusion. Let's take it a step further and actually look at a model that we've seen now in Manchester City, Newcastle, and PSG, which is sovereign wealth funds from countries with extremely, I don't want to say sketchy, because sketchy is underselling how bad the human rights records of these countries are, and using a club and instead of building that club for the club's purpose, building that club for your own purpose to legitimize yourself in the eyes of the rest of the world, right? That's the one thing I can expressly tell you, that I know that the perfect owner is the exact opposite thereof. Because you'll win. You will absolutely win in that outcome when it comes to specifically just trophies and just football. But what you will lose is your soul, because effectively what you're doing is you're saying that winning in a game, right? And as much as we love this, we all need to admit football is in fact still a game. And the best parts that we get out of it aren't sometimes necessarily the trophies and the winning. They're great, they're fun, they're fantastic. But it's the people that it's being brought together. That's what this gives us. And if we're being brought together in the means of singing about how good a ownership group is that, does heinous things and does things like executes gay and lesbian people in the country that they rule, like that's what we don't need. But if you actually want to talk about the type of ownership we do need, the type of ownership we do need is probably ownership that is going to be realistically similar to FSG, just willing to spend a little bit more money, right? That's the thing with FSG. They're not a bad ownership group. The thing that we all wish is that occasionally they would spend some more money or in the transfer market. Like if that's that's the biggest complaint as far as the on the field product goes. Harinder alluded to some other issues that are bothersome. He spoke about the seed increase when the march out in the 77th minute against Sunderland to mark the season ticket increase to £77 each. For me, it's also the attempt to trademark the name Liverpool, which to me was very, very, very short-sighted. And then the Super League and not consulting with supporters. Those are all short-sighted things that leave a bad taste in your mouth. But in the end, they're not nearly as bad as some alternative things that can occur in your name. So, realistically, what's the good owner look like? It looks kind of like what we have now, only with fewer financial restrictions.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. So the perfect owner would be FSG plus a boatload of cash, right? Personally, that would be perfect. So I want to put a name in the hat then over here, Mr. James Arthur Ratcliffe, Sir James Arthur Ratcliffe. Is someone who's been linked, so we can call him Jim though, who is Sir Jim Ratcliffe, is the CEO of the Ineos Group Limited, having founded the chemicals company in 1998, of which he still owns 2/3. Now his personal wealth, it's kind of ranging here. Ratcliffe, this says, Bloomberg is saying, their billionaire index is saying that he's worth £5.93 billion, whilst Forbes puts his net worth at around £13.48 billion. That makes him Britain's richest man and the 55th wealthiest man in the world. His company, Ineos, I hope I'm saying that right, it comprises of 36 individual companies spread over 29 countries and has an estimated turnover of 59.3 billion. So, yeah, when I remember when this was going on, it wasn't actually Jim Ratcliffe that was going to buy the club. It was going to be the company or something. That was not for this club. That was for Chelsea. So I'm just wondering whether something like that happens, because obviously that 59 billion turnover, that's probably annually. It doesn't say here what I'm reading, but that's a shed load of money, man. And 36 companies, I don't know. Talk to me about this guy, because I don't know anything about him. Or just in either of you.
I can tell you, I'll just go very quickly. I can tell you that I don't know a ton about him, but I can say that one of the things that you need to assess in addressing a potential owner is how committed they might just be to owning the club that you are versus just a football club. He looks like a man who just wants to buy a football club and not necessarily Liverpool, because he is a childhood United supporter. He tried to buy Chelsea, right? So the
Well,
question there is,
there's a quote in that thing I was reading. We can't just sit around waiting for United.
yeah. But the
Literally.
question becomes, how do you take someone who is their DNA as a football supporter is likely that they hate you? Like, how did that person buy? Like, how does a lifelong United supporter buy Liverpool and then actively say, "Yep, this is how I want to spend the rest of my days watching Liverpool win," after spending the majority of your life wishing that Liverpool would lose?
Yeah, I mean, this is what Steven's just saying there in Discord. This is a business investment. It's not about who you support. If he's actually trying to put 3 to 5 billion into buying something, I have a feeling he's going to spend that money because he wants it to be successful. Justin, I do.
Oh,
feel that.
I agree.
Personally, I get it. If you ask me, do you want a United fan owning Liverpool? Fuck no. But
no,
I assure you, there's Man United fans probably playing in this Liverpool 11 or in this squad, winning things for Liverpool last year, winning things for Liverpool over the last 5-6 years. That's not.
If the question becomes, would you rather be Jim Ratcliffe or the sovereign wealth fund of Oman or Dubai, who don't own, who are the two Gulf sovereign wealth funds that are of major wealth that are yet to own professional football teams, I'm going to choose Jim Ratcliffe, right? There is less, the moral hazard there is just that he was very good in existing in a capitalist society rather than he's controlling his society by brute force and violence. So, there are degrees to which we can become comfortable with certain things, especially when you do putting it out into the world. Sometimes
it's like
being a sports fan. Sometimes being a sports fan is a giant exercise in cognitive dissonance.
He just says, Eddie, the way Eddie put it was really interesting. It doesn't matter who you support. I think he's a bigger fan of money than he is of anything else, which is what businessmen normally are, right?
Yeah.
So here we go. Dan Kennett is in the chat as well, leaving aside who Ratcliffe supports and his awful politics, because he's a Tory as well, by the way, folks, which is obviously going to hurt a lot of people when he says that. But again, I would like to there's a lot of Tories that are Liverpool supporters as well. I think there's a lot of Liverpool supporters that are Tories that I know. So, but they love
like Jacob Rees-Mogg.
It's crazy. So leaving aside who Ratcliffe supports and his awful politics, the challenge for NFC fans is that Ineos clearly use sports to greenwash its reputation, mainly fracking, chemicals and plastics. Well, there you go. Fucking hell. Dan Kennett with the well, I don't want to say the bomb in there really. That's just, grenaded us. So at the end of the day, like we said earlier, there's no clean owner really. I mean, what does
so
go on?
This is the dilemma here, right? So like Ineos, now I used to work for BP long time ago, and Ineos used to have partnerships with BP along the way, and then eventually ended up buying the BP chemicals arm. Yeah, Ineos's interest though in regards to oil and gas, etc., have always been there, but it's not related to their time with BP though, which is good in one way because I think BP probably would have trounced them over a period of time. But where is the line? So my personal opinion is there has to be lines around people. Yeah, at a people level, if their money is tainted, i.e. human rights, diversity and things like that, that's a no-go area, like a full-on no-go area. Let's say if Bezos did buy us, how many people will fight about the fact that, he doesn't treat his staff very well? How many?
Sorry, repeat that question.
If Jeff Bezos bought us tomorrow, let's say Amazon bought us. Yeah. Jeff Bezos, super billionaire, buys us tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ethically, in regards to how he got his money, Amazon. Okay, great. Amazon doesn't do sports watching. Well, it does Prime Sports. People sometimes have to pay them to watch a football match. Sometimes it's every time it's a fucking few seconds behind, right? Let's face it, it's never on time. Someone always knows more. depending on the quality of their stream and all that shit. But if Bezos bought us tomorrow, would people be challenging the ownership based on their record of workers' rights? So it's not human rights now. Now it's like, are you paying an equitable wage? Are you, like 0-hour contracts? Is that going on? Is there nonsense in respect to sort of like, allowing unionization, or even allowing the aspects of people to have a break or piss because they're knackered and they're tired and they need to go to the toilet, but no, they need to your production line to work. That kind of shit. Like, our business is not fantastic either. But again, it comes down to lines that where things are really bad. Also, like I'm taking on Steve P's commentary in regards to, what was his quote in regards to sort of, no one's money came clean or whatever it was. Where do we draw a line? And then my personal lines are, I said, in regards to diversity and inclusion and accepting people for who they are. Yeah. If you have problems there, that's a big problem. Now, Liverpool haven't been great on the people staff side of things. They sometimes fuck up and get it wrong. The whole thing around COVID and taking money from the government when they didn't need to, but they took it anyway. And then they said, oh, sorry, no, we fucked up. We'll give it back. Right. Okay. Sorry. Whoopsie kind of shit. Yeah. So we do dumb shit at that level as well. There's going to be a degree of dumb shit. As I said, there's a degree of dumb shittiness that's going to happen, but it's where we draw the line on the dumb shittiness. Now, on the fracking and ESG side of things, like environment and social guidelines in respect to people's investments and so on and so forth, then that's a real interesting one. That really is.
It is.
Let's say if a subsidiary, I don't know, Shell bought us, yeah, people be up in arms. I think if Exxon bought us, people be up in arms. Yeah, but I don't. If the individual buys you, do you attribute the individual, or do you attribute the individual's company? If Ineos doesn't buy us and Sir Jim Ratcliffe does, then where do you draw a line? He's a mank. Okay. Martin Broughton, who was an appointed fucking chairman for us for a while, was a Chelsea fan. Still is a Chelsea fan from what I gather. He's not passed away, so he's alive. He's a Chelsea fan, right? He was. Yeah. Absolutely. There will be people may not like this, there will be people who work for organisations who do not support that organisation. I know people who support Liverpool and work for West Ham.
Yeah, my cousin works for the New York Mets. I met multiple of those co-workers who are fans of other Major League Baseball teams. It happens. For a lot of these people, it is a job. Yeah.
I mean, if you're Peter Kenyon, you're a mank through and through, and then Chelsea gave you more money and you fucked off and left them in the shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I think... See, it's hard, though, to separate the tribal... the political, ways of things, because it's Liverpool. It's different. It's different to any other club. Any other club, it wouldn't matter.
I mean, there's a fabulous example.
It's just the way this club is, the way the supporters are. It's got to be right, because otherwise, it's not going to work. It's not going to last long at all. And that's the thing that I think FSG, of who they sell to, need to be very careful of. Because the last thing you want is the people that go to the matches, the people that support, the people that are there, just up in arms and toxic. Because that's what will happen. And I would advise, if anything like that did happen in the future, is if you stop going, someone else is going to take a ticket. Right? That's going to happen because that's the way the world works. I would go and make it toxic so that it really doesn't work out for them. That's the best way to handle it. People saying they're not going to go, you're going to lose your tickets, you're going to go to someone else. Someone else is going to go and cheer. But the people that actually been going all this time, they should still keep going, but literally just boo the shit out of everything.
Yeah, but Gags, I'll tell you what, I'll say one thing for free on this. People, I'm going to rewind it back slightly. Let's say if a seriously minted individual from, I don't know, I was about to say Russia. I was trying not to say Middle East, but because everyone just uses the Middle East, and it gets boring after a while, right? And you start trying to tarnish a whole region just because of how certain regimes are. But all right, for argument's sake, let's just say it was the Middle East. Yeah, really wealthy in the Middle Eastern individual decides to buy Liverpool Football Club. Club of his dreams, always a Liverpool fan. Of course you are, mate. Buys the club. Yeah. And there's all these ethical concerns in respect to the individual, the regime that he supports because of where he's from, and maybe he's a crown prince, who knows, or he's like part of Middle Eastern royalty, and they have problems with lesbians, gays, trans, everything. They have problems with everything. Everything is horrible to them. Everything is an aberration. And, you know, you die because of your aberration, according to them. Yeah. And they buy Liverpool Football Club. The first thing that Liverpool Football Club loses is the first thing that attracted people to Liverpool Football Club, which is the passion. The players, yeah, you know what? Liverpool win shit. Okay, great. It was really nice. You see flashy football, great. But if that passion wasn't there, would you still support the club? Would it have attracted you in any way, shape, or form? If the people and that passion wasn't there, that fervor that you see that the club promotes so much, they have a whole marketing arm based around the optics of that passion, because they know how marketable it is. They market it because they know that's the tap. That's the drug that really draws you in. Wrong owner, and tomorrow that passion is gone. Those flags that you see, you know what? You'll become Man City. You will become a plastic flag flying place. Have we ever been that? Have we? It's so painful to see. You know, when a club gives out its supporting team a flag, and people suck it up like some sort of novelty. It's fucking ridiculous, man. Like, you see, ever go to Man City away or Leicester away or whatever it is, you know, they've been given a blue flag or a sky blue flag, and they wave it around like as if it's something really amazing, and the club really cares. And how passionate are we? You fucking dipsticks. You leave it at your seat. You don't take it home because it's not really a trope to take home. It's not some sort of trophy item. It's a fucking disgusting piece of plastic shit and tat that doesn't really address anything.
Imagine if we got bought. Imagine if we got bought out by Dick long time ago. I call it Dick, but it shouldn't. It's the
Dubai.
Yeah. I like to call it. I just wanted to call it Dick.
The DIC. The DIC.
Well,
imagine if that had happened all that time ago. I remember so many people praying for it to happen, and then they went bust.
It's interesting that you bring that up, though, Gags, because like at that point in time, right, when David Moores was selling the club, he sold the club to Hicks and Gillette. The man lived in regret of that decision for the rest of his life, right? There is a distinct, obviously, I don't think that John Henry is going to have the same exact kind of feelings about it, because he, unlike David Moores, not a lifelong Liverpool supporter, not a person from the city. But there is a level of, you can do a lot of damage to your reputation within a place just by selling to the wrong. And that's something that it's interesting, because you brought up the Tony Evans tweet thread. I can't remember if you brought it up in Discord or on your timeline. But John Henry, at the very least in 2015, was at least conscious of that. And that's something that they really do need to be conscious of, because if they are going to sell the team, sell it to someone where you know that even though, you know, it's a deal and you're both businessmen, that you're not going to completely and totally compromise the soul of the club. That is, I think, of the paramount when you're selling the club, because as an owner of the club, you're responsible for being a steward for the club. And John Henry, whether or not he likes that, that's part of his responsibility besides just getting top dollar. He needs to look at it that way, and he needs to look at the stewardship of responsibility for the club and the club's reputation, alongside getting the most money that he possibly can for all the investors in Fenway Sports Group.
Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff. We've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own two-footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m, Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin DeVries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable They're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. So Daniel Austin at Dan _Dan _Austin. I would take on Twitter. I would keep a particular eye on the Bahrain Sovereign Wealth Fund. I don't know how to say that. Talakat, which is the majority shareholder of McLaren Group, including its F1 team, has a minority stake in Paris FC and was in talks to buy AC Milan. Yeah, just a hunch, but full details in the piece. I literally just typed in Bahrain Sovereign Wealth Fund human rights issues, and what I got was not good. Dismal.
Oh, it's bad. Bahrain had during the Arab Spring a massive repression of. I believe one of their big they had a massive repression based on civil liberties, but I also believe that they have quite a stark divide between the treatment of Sunni and Shiite Muslims within Bahrain, where Shiite Muslims are a second-class citizen. So there's there's that, and there's also then your rest of the run-of-the-mill Emirati, even though Bahrain is not part of the United Arab Emirates, you have that set of issues too. It's not great.
It's not going to end well. And you said something earlier, and Dell's just asking the question in Discord. I want to know if you'll be happy if Liverpool got a good moral owner who doesn't spend, and we always finish outside the top four. So the point here is, no Liverpool fan will ever be happy finishing outside the top four. But if the option is that we get someone like the Bahrain, Sovereign Wealth Fund, or that owner, and that's the only two options, I take the option where we finish outside the top four.
I do too.
Because the other one doesn't let me fucking feel the love for this club that I fucking want to feel, and it doesn't let me feel the pride that I want to feel about this club when I want to feel it. That just makes me feel fucking disgusting. And if that's your code, that it doesn't matter because it's football, then you're fucking doing it all wrong, lad. Not Dell. I'm talking to anyone listening. So yeah, anyone listening, this is to not to just Dell.
I'll give people a good example to answer that question. Yeah, before Newcastle was taken over by Saudi,
I'm shocked by their behaviour, by the way, Newcastle fans.
This is brilliant. So their version of cop-outs, so their LGBTQ society had come out and said, we find this abhorrent. We know how horrible they are in regards to anyone who's similar to us and all this kind of stuff. And after the sale went through, they kind of changed their tune. They're willing to listen and learn, and they're going to do this, and they were happy to be educated. How much education have you seen change in Saudi Arabia? Courtesy of Newcastle and their version of cop-outs. The almighty zero that I know of.
I mean, they executed 81 people about 3 weeks ago. I'm no expert on the nature of capital punishment in the world, but executing 81 people seems pretty heavy. Seems like a lot.
I think the real point here is if FSG thought that it was going to be tough to win the Premier League and the Champions League, they nailed that and they did it. The hardest thing is going to be to sell this football club to someone or an entity that everyone is going to be on board with. This is going to be the hardest thing they did
Gags,
whilst they were at the club. I'm telling you now, this is going to be the hardest thing they did.
I'm going to hammer home, and it's not because it's Dell. Sorry, Dell. Please don't take this personally. It could be anybody asking that kind of question, right? People are saying these kind of questions are, like bad owner finish in top four or good owner finish outside top four. What ownership truly would want to buy a business entity like a sporting establishment to not want to win?
There isn't one that wants to.
I can think of a few, but it's predicated upon it doesn't exist in world football. If you want to know the answer to that question, Harinder, the answer is you have to look at American sports. Basically,
American sports are a unique thing that even I can't fathom. Like that's like several pod series on itself.
There's the Yankees. Get the Yankees in. You won't win a thing ever again.
But you might get a free chicken.
Might even hire us, mate, because we're Indian. Fucking.
Look, There is one other answer to this question, by the way, Harinder. Everton Football Club.
Yeah, Bill Kenwright, lots of promise. Yeah, but seriously, like nobody wants to buy a sporting establishment to lose or to not succeed. And the value of success is trophies, right? In respect to what they want and to fuel an ego. Now, granted, we don't know what we're going to get with this whole process. We don't. Yeah, and I'm a bit conscious of the time. I've got to go soon as well from my side. So we don't know what this process is going to yield. But what we can do is hold the process to account. That's one thing we can do. I can do this as from an individual perspective and every other perspective of my life as a Liverpool football fan. But you can too. You personally, whoever the collective you are here, we actually is better here. We can hold them to account. Why? We've done it before and won. And we then did it again and won. Every time FSG have fucked up and have misunderstood what Liverpool Football Club has been about, we've kind of taken them on and won. Won't be any different here. They fuck up in respect to what they're doing here, yeah, nobody will leave them apart.
No. So this is something
people would go to the length of hounding the fuckers down where they lived.
Well,
yeah,
we still
and they
have
would
Jen
camp out.
Chang, remember?
You know?
Jen Chang and the shit being posted through his letterbox.
Yeah, it happened with Jen Chang, but that also happened with every kind of deal that Hicks and Gillette tried to do, because there were people inside institutions who would say, you know what, this is happening. Tell people, certain internet terrorists in inverted commas as they were known back then, and people reacted and mobilized and did things. We are an extremely powerful and intelligent fan base. Never think that we're not. Collectively, we're lethal. We are lethal collectively. The amount of skill set that sits within Liverpool Football Club fan base is amazing. Like truly, my eyes have been wide open over the last 10 years in regards to how brilliant we are if we are pissed off. So
There's
they can
also a
fuck
lot of
with
us,
us
yeah.
at their peril.
So I think that's right. I think we wanted to go back to something you said, Bargy, about, and Tony Evans made the great point on Twitter, who, by the way, writes for Anfield Index now, so also check out his articles. I have to get a cheap plug in there at the most serious times as well. He had a tweet where he was just going through a discussion that he had personally with John Henry about how John Henry was open. This is 2015, by the way, open to sell in, open for a partial stake if the numbers are right, full sale as well. But then that John Henry said he would have to do right by the club to sell it, because he knows how mad the supporters are about this club, and if he sold it to the wrong person, he literally would be haunted for the rest of his life. And what he would want is that once he sells it, he walks away, and that's that. That's that done. And it's fondness that we look back at that time, really, rather than fuck man, he sold it to this, fuck that, he sold it to that. And like Justin made a point about Rick Parry and David Moores selling it to Hicks and Gillette, they couldn't live that down, and they probably still can't. But I mean, obviously what happened afterwards has probably helped Rick Parry now in terms of turned into to be a...
Well, with Moores, like, it was infamous, right? Moores felt for ages that he couldn't come back to the club. They had to cajole him, like, kicking and screaming almost to come back once, because he felt that bad about what had happened. It's a painful one, right? And I get, okay, John Henry's very nice of you to say that, yeah, but actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to have to see the proof for that now, isn't it? And that's the key thing. You've said it. Can you live with that? Can you actually, like you said, the actions would now tell us everything about that.
It's almost as if he's used up he's used up his quota of apologies, and if he gets this one wrong, there's no apology that he can give that would be accepted.
Sorry, say that again, Justin. You broke.
He's used up his quota of apologies.
Yeah.
And this is the one. If he gets this wrong, this is the one that he could give that nobody would be able to accept and move on from.
No, I think Darth put a really good point in here. Some LFC fan once saw Hicks in New York and saw him outside an investment bank, and they were effectively DDoSed in an hour. After that. So basically,
That was an Anfield Index subscriber's husband.
Yeah.
So basically, you know what? At the end of the day, it can happen, and these things, you just want to leave clubs in a good state, because fandom is crazy. It's literally fanatical, right? Fanatical. What does it mean? It means you're fucking mad about something. You are absolutely crazy. Everybody in Discord, we're arguing over silly things. We're arguing over, this could happen or that could happen. But why? Because we're crazy about this club. So, I just think the people we got owning us now are smart men. They are smart men, and they know what they need to do to get, if they want to sell and live a good life and then enjoy themselves. That's what they're going to have to do it the right way. That's why, personally, I don't think it's going to be such a quick job. I mean, I know Eddie put a tweet up saying that this leaking now means it's quite far down the thingy, and maybe I'm wrong in this, but I just think finding the right people is tough. And Steve P has put, a partial sale, Gags, Harinder, Justin, for cash injection. What's your thoughts? I mean, I'm assuming Steve Pizza means a cash injection for LFC. So from my point of view, and I don't know if you two agree with this, why the hell would they give up some of their profit? Why would they give, if it's a 15x, why would they give 5x up of profit just to inject it back in the club? I don't see them doing that.
It could just be a case whereby they don't find a buyer. Like, maybe there isn't a person who wants to go and stamp up the 4 or 5 billion or whatever it is to go and buy the club. But you know what? 500 million for a percentage share, or 1 billion for a percentage share, whatever it may be, or 2, but who knows? Then
29%. We can't say anything about it.
But we don't want. But the thing is, though, like we have the whole Redbird Capital situation, right? Like, there's this whole capital thing but it was injected into FSG, and fuck knows what happened after that. Like, some of it said, we got rid of all the COVID debt and all this kind of shit and everything else. Oh, okay, great. But, I'm not the master accountant that Mo Chatra is or anybody else is. I haven't gone through every single balance sheet ever to kind of work out whether that really happened.
Because we don't see FSG's balance sheet. We only see LFC's. We don't see it.
So we don't really know, right, as to how that all went down or how that cookie crumbled. We just don't. The last thing I want here, though, is to be in a position whereby you sell the family silver and live to regret it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know I don't know the attraction to buying a partial share of us, because the other thing is, anybody who has the amount of money necessary to actually buy us or buy a really significantly sized share is going to want some level of control as to how the club's operated. Because there's one other thing you have to remember about anybody who's this wealthy. They're all competitive, and the game they've been playing is just wealth accumulation. And you don't get to that point by saying, okay, I bought this asset. I think it's working great. Let me just have it work exactly as it is. No, you think you're a genius because you've made this much money, and you're going to say, I'm investing in this asset. I want a distinct say in how it's operated, and here's how I want things done. And that always doesn't work for the best.
No.
Because I don't think it's Dragon's Den, right? Like with Theo Peters and all those other a lot of fucking Deborah Meaden and co. God, it shows how long it's been since I watched this bloody program. I don't think it's gonna be like Dragon's Den, where we just sit there in front of a bunch of panelists, like saying, "See who wants to give us a percentage of something." I said with this, it's a very interesting way that it's been teased out. Like, might be a partial bit, it might be full. We're all open. It's a very, I suppose, covering your bases type statement from FSG, which the half kind of makes me think that they know where this is going, but they're giving themselves an out if it goes a different way. So I think there's a couple of things that are out there that they know are sure bets in respect to the due diligence done so far, with Goldman's and Morgan Stanley and the people that they've engaged and so on. So yeah, I think it's a case whereby it's either going to go one way or another, and they kind of, like everyone else thinks, I think they kind of already know. One thing I think for sure is that nobody.
So you actually think they know what they're doing, whether it's wholesale or
anybody. Yeah, and they're hedging their bets in regards to due diligence in respect to which way it's going to go. But it's going to go full sale, and the due diligence works that way, or it goes partial, an investment, because it goes another way. It's a definite watch this space thing. Because that's all we can do, right? As fans, we can all sit there now and watch this space, see what happens there. One thing I will say, there's lots of people who are coming out with theories in the UK. I just don't think they know shit, truth be told. Because how could we? We didn't know fuck. Like, people didn't know a thing in respect to the whom or even what this time yesterday. Maybe there were some very lucky individuals who did, but generally on the whole,
no, they knew today. There's
anything that's under an
today.
NDA, if that name comes out somehow,
you're breaking
that
up
name
a little
comes
bit now.
out
Raj,
somehow.
you're
How you leak out? No, in regards to the names that come in wanting to bid for Liverpool Football Club, yeah. If that's in the public domain in any shape or form, that could scupper the NDA, and that means scuppers the deal, in essence.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's why today, it only came out today. As soon as it was with the Athletic, that's when people started to find out.
No, but that's only just saying that the FSG are going to sell, right? It doesn't tell you whom to. It's
No.
Yeah.
But at the same time, no. Wait. But at the same time, there were people that came to Eddie and did mention that the front runner, and this is before anyone else put it on Twitter, because I was literally texted this as well, was Jim Ratcliffe. That was literally that came through to us. So literally around the same time as we were finding out.
We need to go. I suppose we need to.
We didn't think anything of it because, it was just one of those, shut up, that's what we all did this morning when it first came through in the WhatsApp group we're in, Baji. We were just like, shut up.
No. Yeah, that's what I mean. We now need to affirm right.
Thingy.
Put it this way, we now need to state this for the record, yeah? Random source has to now be called unofficial chutney.
Unofficial chutney.
Okay. Unofficial chutney.
But
keep with the person who said it.
Barty knows random source also. So see, it's not. I haven't been making
random source.
Anyway, we shouldn't be talking about this. This is only for.
You guys are talking about how the sausage is made.
That's right. How the sauce is made. We're talking about sauce. Random sauce, as in chutney.
Oh yes. I see. I can't say sausage because Paji's a vegetarian. But
good save. Very good save.
This story though just seems to have been like one thing happening, which is Ornstein probably did some very good investigative research. Probably came to the club with an opportunity to say, "I'm running this. Do you have any comments?" At which point FSB put their statement out. Like that seems to be the pattern of events here.
I think it's more synchronized than that, man.
You think it is?
I think it's more a case of whereby Ornstein has obviously got a very good source within the club, like 100%. There's no denying that now, right? Like in comparison,
yeah, it's a 100% hit rate source.
Yeah, it's like I think Mo said it himself. Yeah, like Mo is 100% right here. The aspect of patch journalism in Liverpool is almost dead. Yeah, the patch journalists didn't have a sniff of this.
Nope.
And Ornstein has gone and eaten the James Pearce and Simon Hughes lunch. Because Ornstein was considered to be an Arsenal guy, right? Through and through, in respect to sources and everything else. And so we have somebody who's not even really related to the club in regards to its history of the last 2 years come up and trump them all just through his machinations and working. Must be a fantastic networker. Like he should go and write a book on how he's been doing this kind of stuff. To reach the echelons of some part of FSG where they've gone, all right, you know what? We're going to tell you this and you can't run it yet. Get yourself ready, because it was very slickly prepared. If you look at his article, it's quite succinct, it's quite smooth, and it mirrors what FSG would probably want out there. There's not enough in there to make you direct you one way. There's not so little in there that it doesn't leave you ambiguous in regards to what's going on. It gives you exactly what FSG want you to know. So I just don't think he's made it up from. I don't think it would be someone from the banks themselves, because that kind of leak can come through. They'll work out who said it to some degree, because it just seems too meticulous in regards to how it's come out. I think it's more of a feed from within the ownership saying, okay, this can go out.
So, guys,
And say that.
You convinced me. You convinced me, Podgy.
Any last thoughts? Because obviously we got the big show coming with Trev and Mo at 7 p.m. It'll be out later on tonight, but this was obviously live in Discord for you guys, lovely people, to get some kind of, reaction with Harinder and Justin and myself. But yeah, Mo's actually listening in as now and going, what the hell's going on? But Mo, if you don't know what's going on, then we're all a bit fucked because you're going to be talking about it in about 40 minutes. But yeah, so funny. But yeah, we just thought we'd cover off our initial thoughts and some fan reaction on what's going on. But yeah, if you want Money Talks, I suggest you do listen into it a little bit later on tonight. This will come out first, obviously. But yeah, make sure you listen to Money Talks as well. You'll get the professional view from Mr. Chatra and the dulcet tones of Mr. Trev Downey. Thank you so much, Baji. Thank you, Justin. Any final thoughts or words before we close this off?
Yeah, I guess just
One at a time.
Justin first.
I guess a congrats to Mr. to the bad John O'Sullivan on Twitter.
Who?
For finally getting his Corbelli Red, the FSG man, FSG out man. Congrats for finally getting your wish.
Well. See, my final thoughts might be a bit different, but not.
I'm just being sarcastic.
With that, yeah, I know. Barge.
Final thoughts are, I hope that they don't fuck it up for their sake more than anybody else's, because if they try to, it's war. Literally, it'll be like people going to mattresses, right? Yeah, it will be like war. Yeah. And we just don't need that. Yeah, we've been there before. And it's not nice. It's horrible. It's toxic. It splits fan bases. And that's not really what we're about anymore. And I'd like to believe that we carry on not being like that anymore. So, yeah, there's an opportunity here for FSG to do it the right way. I'm hoping that they do.
Yeah, my thoughts are that exactly like Bargie's. No problem if they're going to sell. That's fine. But they've got to sell to the right people. It's got to be to the right people. They've got to have more money than you had, and they've got to be right. They've got to be right for everything the club stands for and the people that follow this club stand for. And if you don't have morals and you don't care who comes in, then I think that's something that you probably should be looking in the mirror about more than judging me, calling you out for it, to be honest. Really. And that's from a really polite place, without me screaming and shouting. So, yeah, I think this is, like I said before on this pod, this is the biggest thing they're going to do. I don't think winning the league, creating this club the way they created it, creating that 3-year period of unbelievable Liverpool Football Club, the team and all that, and then what they've done, instilling all the financial stuff, whatever, we're running ourselves, brilliant. And doing that is unbelievable. It's a great achievement. But the biggest thing they will do is sell this club to the right people. So the challenge is far greater than anything they've ever done. And I honestly believe that. This is a fucking hard thing to do. So, mate, they've taken that challenge on. Good luck. Good luck. It's going to be tough. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much, Bargy. Thank you so much, Justin. I wish the King of Scotland could afford it and AI Pro could own Liverpool. I wish. But the King of Scotland, even, the pockets are not that deep. In fact, they're too deep and he can't reach the money. It's down that far down. But like I said before, make sure you're listening to Mo Chatra and Trev Downey later on Money Talks. If you're waiting for that, it'll be out very, very soon. And, well, if you're listening to a second, I get it. No offense taken. I'll be back very soon on AI Pro, I hope. But once again, thanks to you all for listening in live. Massive audience tonight. Thank you. And I hope you have a good evening. And who knows what's next? Might be exciting. It might be fucking war. But hey, that's Liverpool FC, hey. We love it. And we're going to have to just take what comes. So fingers crossed it all works out for the best. Up the Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.